I'm sorry to have let you down on the whole like cilantro thing, but I'm gonna be talking about politics in a way that I hope doesn't make you cringe. Is this an abandoned Sarah Bareilles lyric video channel? Yes. Are most of the lyrics wrong? Also yes. Am I launching myself on a platform in which I ask people to take me seriously under the guise of cilantro videos? Yes. I've been sitting on a video for a little bit and I'm not going to post it. I'm posting this instead. The microphone blows out like 5 times and honestly, I'm not very articulate. And now that some time has passed, I'm still not very articulate. But there was a point in that video that I am repeating now because I think it's pertinent to how everyone should view my videos, and it's I can't act out the scripts I write. I will be looking down at my Mac. Pretend it's a podcast. And I'll be honest, I filmed that video about 3 times, and I have a fresh new respect for content creators, and I ask you watching for your support. And you can gauge that amount of support by doing America's favorite pastime, judging people. I'm Gen Z, and I'm calling on anyone born before the millennial generation, the Night Crew, because I am opening up to a shit show. I have graduated, I counted employment numbers now, and what the H3 double hockey sticks is going on. I will get into what the topics are in just a minute, but I believe in flip-flopping on ideas because I am not running for politics. I'm a person who wants to adhere to reality as much as possible, and I build my worldview through a lens of empathy. I grew up Christian, so a lot of Sunday school shaped me, some good, some bad, but what stuck out was Jesus going, be nice to each other. I don't see that in the population that claims they are a follower of this man. And I feel like my behavior as a child stemmed from mimicking other people. Like, be yourself is just like pick from the thousands of data points labeled behavior in my brain and then just perform them. And over time, I was able to pick and choose whatever behaviors and traits I liked, without feeling like I have to adhere to a norm, at least on the inside. On the outside, I would say more so, but on the inside, I don't think so. And I've done a lot of shadow work. I truly see myself, in some aspects as an enlightened person. I have plenty of shit to learn on this planet while I'm here, but I say that to express how unaffected I am by propaganda by rich people to maintain their status. There's a quote that says, wealth that creates poverty is not wealth. And ever since I read that, I can see that sentiment. I can see how important that sentiment is when reading, capitalist propaganda that we see just everywhere. So I have a big booty list of questions for whoever closed last night, but also who let them go home? Like, what were your reasons? I'm not bashing you or saying anything bad about you, because what the heck, people are more important than money, and I don't see that differentiation anywhere. So here's my list of the video that I did like 3 times. Oh, and before we start, here's a TikTok that inspired me or radicalized me to start this entire channel.
I think the main reason that social media companies and governments haven't made more of an effort to restrict leftist and revolutionary content online is because they know that allowing the digital space to exist as an outlet for those kinds of sentiments makes it less likely that they're going to manifest in the real world. When you see a lot of people posting about an issue and a lot of people engaging with it, it's really easy to think that since a lot of people know about it, someone must be doing something about it. And when you hit that like button, you feel in a small way like you're doing something about it too. And in reality, you're not, and probably no one is, but that placebo effect, when applied at a societal scale, is keeping our collective feelings that the world is broken and we need to do something about it from boiling over.
Okay, if no one's going to add anything to the Google Doc, I guess I'll start. And trigger warning, if you get riled up about politics, you're gonna get riled up. So for example, line 3, it's an unnecessary investment in an outdated form of energy. It's going to devastate native lands and the quality of life of the people who live there, including, most profoundly, their food source. Night Crew, what the hell? What did we do here? How did we get here? Outdated form of energy. Oil is old. I don't think devastating native lands is worth it so you can make what? A couple $100 million, you know what I mean, per year? People are more important than money. Ignore what climate scientists have been saying for decades. You know what's funny? None of this is funny. Is that the people who don't trust medical doctors with medicine, why do we think they're going to trust climate scientists with the climate? So the people who are holding us back from actual climate legislation, we are delusional for thinking they will be on board. Pretending like oil companies didn't know about the damage they'd cause. They knew internally. It was leaked like 50 years ago, or they've known for like 50 years exactly what they were doing. Again, money for them is more important than people. I would like to highlight that fact I would like to highlight that fact on this platform. Not pass Medicare for all legislation. Dude, okay, when we passed Medicaid 65 and older, that entire bill, I learned like the two things I learned from my bachelor's degree. When we were passing that bill, it was going to be 18 to 64, 65 and older. They were like, no, just split it up. Maybe we can pass it next year or something along those lines. And then we never passed it. Around the same time the NHS was established and developed, we were going to have health insurance.
Bruh.
Like, and people who are like, but my taxes, bro, you paid $1,000 in taxes. Okay, first of all, but you're gonna pay another $10,000 in medical costs. Imagine if you paid $1,500 in taxes and saved that $10,000, $100,000. You know, all of the money that you spend in a year or a lifetime, you could save. Controlling women's healthcare decisions. If you don't have a uterus, you don't have an opinion. I have nothing to say right now other than that. Oh, also this picture. Okay. Why do ambulance rides cost thousands of dollars? Why are we burdening anyone who needs healthcare with tens of thousands of dollars in medical debt if they don't have insurance? Also, why are we allowing people to die because they can't afford their medication or insulin? Why are we charging money to have a baby? Why are we forcing people to choose between food and rent? Not updating the minimum wage to match inflation, let alone productivity, not paying workers a living wage, have an artificially inflated economy, ignore all the missing, traffic, dead POC and Native people because they're not white, I guess. Like, what other reason are we pay the police so much money, but they don't look into these matters now, do they? Ignore blatantly racist policing policies and not hold cops accountable when they murder people. Self-defense is one thing before you have a heart attack, okay? But I don't care what your job is, if you murder someone, you murdered them. Obviously, this is excluding, I'll say it one more time, excluding self-defense. We just tolerate xenophobia. That is something we have learned. Babies do not grow up just being xenophobic, right? Everything is interesting to you when you're a child. I love learning. I hate school, but I love learning. We keep teaching our kids. You taught your kids, your parents taught you as kids, and so on and so forth. We keep teaching xenophobia to the next generation. And didn't stick for me, didn't stick for a lot of us. I want to say if you're Gen Z, it didn't stick for you either. I'm betting statistically. Okay. Oh yeah, blurring the lines between separation of church and state. I see you, Texas, with your whole pro-life thing, not pro-life, pro-birth thing. Making epidemiology and COVID science political. I wouldn't say this is night crew stuff. Some of this is more recent. If it's more recent, I am definitely talking about the actors who created these problems. Making epidemiology and COVID science political has resulted in the death of far too many Americans that you say you care about. I'm not talking to everyone all the time. I'm talking to very specific people in which the points words. Completely ignore the school to prison pipeline, not teach us anything practical because school is just training for being a worker for hours on end, allow extremists in their party to destroy the Capitol and perform an insurrection. And all of this, my theory is that because there are people with fragile egos who think they'll have a net worth beyond $30,000 and they vote for policies that go against their best interests, because they are manipulated by capitalist propaganda to keep the ruling class so rich they wouldn't bend down to pick up a $100 bill, and they're disgusted by the sight of anyone working class. That's, I think, how we got here, is because we're maintaining this status quo for the people with these fragile egos. I want the reason to be better, or I want change. Americans are manipulated into believing things because they harbor hate for another group. Look at the KKK. Like, this is in-group, out-group manipulation, xenophobia. I thought we were better than this. truly. A lot of Americans are narcissists. Like, people who are wrong don't apologize because they're never wrong, right? And if you're saying, oh, well, people are just a bunch of narcissists, what's the harm? Okay, well, they were very loud and wrong about COVID and vaccine science. I don't care. I don't care that you saw the word cytokine storm, Googled it, and understand it, and now you take ivermectin for COVID. You know, now that's over a year in, and it's a personal choice, right? Which I understand. Like, I would mandate it to everyone who doesn't have a non-medical reason, but I believe in separation of church and state. Not that vaccines are any sort of religious doctrine that I know of. I still respect, medical reasons, obviously, but I still respect religion, even though I don't really respect it. I respect it in public. I don't respect it in private. Actually, respect is an interesting word that I chose for this. I wonder what that means. Okay. Also, nuclear families are deteriorating because of capitalism. While the capitalists were making a bunch of money by charging us for every single thing, life at home kind of sucked. I would say this goes for millennials, some Gen X. Is it Gen X? Yeah, Gen X. A lot of millennials, all of Gen Z, I want to say. Like the shitty bosses we have. Yeah, I wonder where that came from. They make 50 cents more than you, but make your working environment absolutely unlivable. So like there are people, so I feel like nuclear families deteriorating. There are people who live in between fight and flight and needing to be in control to feel safe, and that's why as a collective we can't get even to the halfway point of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. A lot of this is trauma, and we all need to go to therapy, and mental health insurance should be free. It should be covered. As someone who's only lived in blue states, I know that my state has labor laws and voting rights and social programs and just general, resources for the general public to promote the welfare of its citizens. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. And for a lot of people, I want to emphasize, it's better than nothing. You save $500 in taxes, but you give up a lot. So the purpose of my last video was like make a list of all these things that I want to talk about and then introduce the idea of partisans, but like my definition. So this is anyone in a political party who does not encourage progress. These are also people who do not engage in pro-social behaviors and people who vote against their best interest, usually due to cognitive dissonance and bias. So Fox News people, that's you. Sorry about that. So partisans, you can be centrists are problematic now. If you're a centrist nowadays, I'm grouping you with Republicans. However, the people that I'm really like trying to focus on are the people who are not open-minded, and in a situation in which they need to be open-minded, they double down on their anger and refuse to concede to my two big things, reality or common sense, right? And it's usually to preserve their sense of, I like to say patriotism, but any noun you want to put there. Like, for example, are you spreading disease? Like, that's not a pro-social behavior. Like, is this patriotism? No, it is not. And I can't believe I have to say that. A lot of conservative pundits, I have noticed, are like the defender of the white Christian conservative. You don't have to be white. You don't have to be Christian. You don't have to be conservative. I don't know what the common denominator is for people who listen to conservative pundits, but I think it's funny that they live in welfare states with poor economies with higher medical and criminal death rates, and then like yell about being oppressed. Like, you're being oppressed because of the systems that you keep voting for, not because of liberals. You know what I mean? Is living in a country, in a state with poor economies, higher criminal and medical death rates, and waking up to the Trump cult you're in, is that karma for being racist? You know what? I'll say it. Is that karma for being a racist asshole? And at the same time, right? Accountability. Are we being like those shitty bosses and allowing them to suffer, but liking it a little bit because we think they owe some sort of debt to society? That's pretty judgy of us. Again, I don't identify with a side, left or right, because I'm calling them out too, Republicans, okay? Okay? Don't come for me. Basically what I'm saying is that it's easy to make fun of Republicans, but what kind of progress is going to happen if we say we care about everyone and then meme on them and leave them to die? We have all of this data. We have good data that we can make policy on, but it sounds like it looks like we're full of shit because we don't actually make legislation and pass legislation Not because of the Kristen Cinemas of the world, it's because of the corporations. They are muddling our progress. We're only as strong as our weakest link, and right now sheep paste and being lethally wrong about public health is killing a lot of Americans. That is my first video. I got rid of a lot. Oh, also, a lot of people say coastal elites. I need you to look at this map. Okay, society is a group project. If you don't want to participate, stay home. If you like reaping the rewards of the effort that is put in by a collective for the collective, that's great. But if you cannot abide by common sense rules that are rooted in reality, I'm not going to say you don't have a place in society, but I'm going to call you a partisan because you are acting in a way that is anti-progressive. And that's my first video. Oh my God. Is anyone going to watch me? What should my next thumbnail be? I would love, make it the dankest meme possible. Please and thank you. Please click the buttons below, please, because I sell my human capital for money. And if I didn't have to do that, I can make better content for you guys. Whatever buttons you want to click, truly. Like liking and commenting and subscribing and shit like that. So yeah. I can end my presentations now that way. So yeah. Where's the rubric now, bitch?